Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. It's gonna be the last video of the day, and then I'm gonna try to get some sleep. Again, it probably won't be until midnight that I pass out, because insomnia. I am tired. This is part 6, but that's, I gotta fix that. The paper says something, and that's gonna mess me up for the rest of the day. Yeah, okay. I know why I lose all my pencils, because I throw them when I'm done with them. That would make sense. No, I don't normally do that. Just when I know where it's gonna land. Okay, that didn't even make sense to me. Never mind. Today we are reading His Reasons. It's a Todoroki X Reader Friend fic by AshleyH713. We're going to do Season 3, Chapter 9 right now. Tomorrow I'll do Chapter 10 and 11 in separate videos, obviously. And then possibly 12, because I want to try and get a lot done. I'm gonna not have to record for a while. Yeah. I got Toothless back in the room, but he's like staring at the door like something's happening out there, and I'm not sure if I want to know. I can hear the TV in the living room, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's begin. Approaching the entrance to the hospital, Todoroki saw Deku and Shinso waiting for him quietly. It was nightfall now, which meant not as many people around, so the group could investigate fully. He took one look at Shinso, though, and sighed. The boy half regretted bringing him along, but knew somehow it would strengthen their odds of saving Amari, although his feelings for her would surely make him annoyed. Taking a map out of his bag, he called over to the boys. "Are we ready?" Deku nodded his head, although still feeling very uneasy about the whole thing. "I think so, but are you really sure we can do this, Todoroki?" Answering back, the boy had no doubt in his mind. They would save Amari, or die trying. "We have to." Shinso eyed their interaction with interest, crossing his arms over his chest. "Are you always this intense? Frankly, I don't know how she even deals with you half of the time." Todoroki frowned at that, watching Deku nervously laugh. "Hey guys, we promised not to fight, remember? For Amari-chan." As much as Icy Hot hated it, he knew his friend was right. Is this being told from the perspective of Bakugo? He'd just have to deal with this guy. Any discourse between them could chance her safety. "Sorry, Midoriya, you're right. Let's get moving." They all seemed to agree at that, turning to leave when another voice stopped them in their tracks. It was loud, filling up the space in a booming shout. "Where the hell do you think you're going, extras?" Stopping at once, everyone turned their heads only to find Bakugo staring at them, looking extremely unhappy. His blonde hair made Todoroki's eyes fall, remembering the girl he loved for a moment and missing her entirely. Deku spoke first, questioning. "Kachan, what are you doing here?" Katsuki stopped up to the group before answering back gruffly. "I'm here to get my idiot sister back, you damn Deku." Blinking in surprise, Todoroki replied, "How did you know about our plan?" He only scoffed back, though, narrowing his eyes in anger. "Do you really think you could go off and save that brat without me? Hell no, I'm coming so I can personally show those villains who exactly they messed with. I'll make them sorry for ever looking at my sister." The group all looked between each other, as if having some kind of unsaid meeting. Bakugo was reckless, but he was also strong, and if Amari was here, they knew she'd want him to come along, as long as he was safe. The choice seemed obvious. Almost obvious. Katsuki looked in the silence for a moment before stomping his foot, not liking the atmosphere. "And don't even think about telling me I'm not coming, because then you can go screw yourselves." Thinking for a moment, Todoroki took a step closer, thinking about what Amari would want. "Bakugo, I understand the desire, but think about Amari. They were going to take you as well, just to torture her. If you come, then you'll just be playing into their hands again. You and I both know the last thing she wants is for you to be hurt." Although Amari's brother didn't enjoy that response, balling his hands into fists, he knew that going would be a huge risk, especially seeing that they were after him first. But that didn't mean he was going to stop. Who fucking cares what those bastards want? Let them try and come at me so I can show them just what a Bakugo is capable of. Todoroki only shook his head at this, knowing Amari would disagree as well. Bakugo, that's not the point. Yet Bakugo seemed to understand plenty, hissing back loudly. You don't think I understand? Well, I fucking do. I'm sick of always being protected by that goddamn brat, so this time I'll be the one protecting her, whether she likes it or not. He knew he should have shut her brother down, but somewhere deep down, Todoroki understood. If the positions were switched, he already knew he would be doing the same thing as Bakugo. It showed how much he loved his sister, and Todoroki knew he couldn't deny him that. Sighing heavily, the boy replied, I understand. Just please, be careful. If not for your sake, then for Amari's. I think you and I both know what she would do if you got hurt. Understanding what he meant, Bakugo nodded silently. He had to watch himself, so she didn't dive into danger again. I don't need you to give me advice, Icy Hot. Todoroki couldn't help but smirk at that, thinking that this was typical Bakugo behavior. Yeah, I know. Then began to walk for a couple minutes before Katsuki shoved his hand in his pockets and pushed Todoroki with his hand, although his voice was now softer, more so than it was before. Hey, Icy Hot. Rubbing the spot where Amari's brother pushed him, he replied. Yes? Bakugo looked at the ground for a moment before muttering back. If you really meant what you said earlier, if you love that brat, then don't ever think about leaving her. Todoroki's eyes couldn't help but grow wide at that. Like, that almost sounded like he was approving of their relationship. What had brought this on? Does that mean you accept us? Frowning back, Katsuki scoffed. Of course not, you bastard. I can't deny the way she listens to you. Hell, even more than her damn brother. I hate it, but at least she listens to someone. Her brother's words were sad, as if he wanted to be the one to hold the spot of Amari's trust. But that would have to wait. For now, Todoroki was who she confided in, whether he liked it or not. Bakugo, I would never leave her. Nodding his head back, Katsuki glared. Damn right, you better not, or I'm going to kill you myself. You got that? You better be willing to do whatever it takes to get her back. Todoroki locked eyes with Bakugo for a moment before slowly nodding his head back. I would do anything to get her back. Because of his serious attitude, the boy accepted his declaration, now turning back to the rest of the group before speaking loudly. Damn right. Now let's go get that brat. Moving towards the abandoned building at the edge of town, the group crept up the back alleyway before seeing an extremely tall window a couple feet away. The room appeared to be dark and vast, everyone not knowing where it ended. Deku looked up at the window before speaking. Alright, let me get on someone's shoulder so I can see. Almost immediately, Bakugo scoffed, pointing at the other members of his team. You must have a death wish if you think I'd let you touch me. Have Icy Hot and the Hero Course reject over there do it. Todoroki seemed used to it, but Shinso couldn't help but feel offended by the name. What did you just call me? Although the two-toned haired boy shook his head, placing a hand on his shoulder. Just forget it. You're not going to get him to apologize. It's easier just to ignore it. Shinzo glared at Amari's brother and couldn't help but fire back. Are you two even twins? Amari's stubborn, but she's definitely not as much of an ass as you. Honestly, I don't know why she worships you so much. You don't look all that special to me. Deku's eyes widened as the boy hit Bakugo where it hurt, watching the veins pop out of his skin. He was trying to stay quiet, but it was getting rather hard. Who even are you, extra? Obviously you want to die. His palms extended out only for Todoroki to stand between them. You two, stop it. This isn't helping. If you make any more noise, then they'll hear us. Think about why we are here. As much as they wanted to fight right there and now, they both knew Todoroki was right. They needed to get their heads on straight, or else it could cost Amari. The two boys' voices grew silent then, walking over the wall, before Bakugo crouched down and shoved his palms to Deku. Just do it already before I change my mind. His friend was certainly surprised by that. Never thought Kachan would ever be that compliant. Are you sure, Kachan? But the boy just huffed, glaring at Deku. You have 5 seconds before I say screw it, you damn nerd. Looking back nervously, Deku complied, now grabbing his friend's hand and having him hoist the boy up onto his shoulders to get a better look inside. Squinting through the glass, the green-haired boy wiped away some of the fog, only for Katsuki to shout down quickly. "Hurry up before I drop you, useless Deku." Deku frowned at this before turning back to the window, blinking twice, only for his heart to drop in his chest at what he saw. There, through the glass, were rows and rows of Nomu, floating in large containers individually. It was like some kind of underground lab of some sort. When his voice returned, it was small and afraid. Somehow, they felt like they had bitten off more than they could chew. "Kachan, this is bad." Todoroki noticed his tone and called back. "What is it, Midoriya?" Dropping the boy down, Deku replied, "There are Nomu everywhere, rows and rows of them. It's like some kind of army. I didn't see anyone, though." Toothless. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed to their left, causing the building to crumble in front of them. It was like someone had broken in. Turning back towards the building, the group gasped, finding a bunch of pro-heroes now in the space, capturing all the Nomu at once. It seemed they had gotten there before them. That was certainly a relief. "The pros are here. Thank goodness." They listened to the radio of Best Jeanist, hearing him speak to his colleagues. "Bad news. All Might successfully stormed the villains, but there's still no sign of the kid. Keep a lookout in the area, Mount Lady." The woman nodded before everyone couldn't help but feel a sense of dread in their stomach. Amari wasn't with the rest of the villains? Then where the hell could she even be? Bakugo gritted his teeth in anxiety as the heroes ran up to an unknown figure, turning her around slowly. "Ragdoll, what did they do to you?" Although their teammate remained motionless, like she was a doll with no owner. The heroes looked between each other before sharing a look. There seemed to be something else going on here. Just then a voice stopped them, causing everyone in the area to freeze in absolute terror and fear. "Sorry about that, but her quirk was too good to pass up, so I took it." The kids turned their heads in confusion, only for an extremely tall and intimidating man to step out of the shadows. He wore a mask covering his face, but everyone could feel his chilling smile underneath. Best Jeanist eyed the man with disdain before readying his quirk. "Now serious. You did this. Now you have one chance to tell us where Bakugo Amari is." The man eyed this with interest before lifting his hands up. "Oh, do I?" Then the man let off an enormous burst of power, blasting through the entire building and tearing it into shreds. The amount of power this one man had was insane, almost like All Might. When the smoke cleared, the man casually strolled up to the struggling heroes before they gasped, now realizing who they were messing with. "You're..." Smiling back, the man nodded once. "Yes, I'm All for One." At his name, Deku felt an unknowing amount of bile rise up in his throat. This was the villain that All Might fought all those years ago. This was his greatest enemy. Leaning down to the paralyzed heroes, All for One spoke back evenly and smooth. "Although, since you asked so nicely, I suppose I can show you what you desire." The heroes eyed this in confusion as the villain then turned away, only for a portal to open on his left-hand side. Coaxing softly, he spoke. "Come on out." Then reaching into the purple mist, he then reached his hand out and pulled someone out into the space with him. This caused all heroes and students to gasp in utter fear. It was Amari. She struggled against his hand, but All for One was too strong, holding her hands as she fought. "Screw you, I already said don't touch me." He seemed to find her struggling cute, though, as he eyed the girl with amusement. "Such fire as always, little one. I'm glad to see that hasn't gone away." Amari glared as Bakugo eyed his sister, now an intense ball of anxiety in his throat. She was taken by All for One, the most powerful villain known to Hero. He wanted nothing more than to race out there to force him to let go of his sister, but Todoroki held him back, knowing it was too dangerous. Todoroki watched Amari fight the villain roughly as a low growl emitted from his stomach. She looked to be okay, with only a cut lip, but somehow there was caked blood on her clothes. He really hoped that didn't belong to her. Oh, God. Amari kicked her legs into the villain's roughly at a weak attempt to escape, but found it did nothing, only causing him to sigh. "Now don't be like that. The show will start soon enough. You just have to be patient." Bakugo watched his sister struggle for a couple more seconds before he couldn't take much more. She looked to be in pain, and all her brother wanted to do was show that asshole that he was making a grave mistake. That bastard would pay for hurting her. Stepping out, Todoroki put his hand out again, only for Katsuki to slap it away. He felt another hand stop him shortly after, but this time it was Deku. Kachan, wait! Do you even know who that is? We can't just go out there without a plan. He took one look at the villains before scoffing, now throwing his friend's hand off roughly. I don't give a damn who he is. No one touches my sister like that and lives. That asshole has another thing coming to him. Then, before the others could call after him, Bakugo was gone, now shouting towards All For One. Hey, asshole! Get the fuck away from my sister! Turning around in interest, All For One eyed this curiously, as Amari's stance grew even more panicked. Why was Katsuki here? No, he can't be. It was too dangerous. Amari reached towards him, only for the villain's arm to pull her back as she struggled even harder, shouting back to her brother, You idiot! What are you doing here? Run away! That wasn't the type of greeting Bakugo thought he would get, but the scared look in her eyes made him grow even more furious. Screw that! I'm getting you home, stupid! Tears welled up in her eyes, knowing that was impossible now as All For One laughed. So this is the famous Bakugo Katsuki I've heard so much about. Say, little one, should I kill him? Widening her eyes, Amari pushed against his arm, utter terror in his voice. No, don't, please! This caused the man to chuckle once more, enjoying her tears. Never mind, I wouldn't dream of doing that to you. He's your strength after all, which is a great asset to me. Not fully understanding, Bakugo readying his quirk only for All For One to lift his hand up in warning. Although, we can't have him ruining our plan, so I'm going to have to cut him a bit. Reaching out to the boy, Amari screamed back, begging her captive not to kill the only brother she had. Stop it, Katsuki! The man let off a huge burst of energy, causing Amari to shut her eyes in terror as the light filled up her eyes before slowly fading. Feeling her breathing pick up, she finally opened her eyes only to find a very familiar face blocking Katsuki and protecting him. It was someone she'd know anywhere. All Might. He moved out of the way and turned to Bakugo, who was still in utter shock at the man's power. Are you all right, young Bakugo? Nodding his head once, All Might seemed satisfied, now turning to his arch-nemesis roughly. Now, I will have to ask you to hand back my student, as she doesn't belong to you. He eyed the man in surprise before smirking through the mask. Oh, really? I think it's the other way around, actually. But it's so nice to see you again. I've waited for this moment for a long time. She has as well, haven't you, little one? Frowning back, Amari hissed. I still don't know what you're talking about, you psycho. Don't rope me into your twisted games. He found amusement in her words, though, replying back, Well, now that he's here, I guess it's time to begin. Then, taking a step forward, everyone watched as the villains moved, pushing Amari with him, slowly and smoothly. You see, after you destroyed my body so badly, I knew I had to come up with something to pay you back with for when I returned. Stopping a couple feet away, All For One then pulled a large syringe out of his pocket before tapping the top lightly and pointing it towards the girl. Now, you'll see just what I've been working on, All Might. Amari pulled away from the needle, a deep terror etched in her eyes now. What the hell is that? Get away from me! Although the villains didn't comply, only touching the tip of the needle lightly to her neck. Time to see my masterpiece in action. Then, all at once, All For One pushed the needle into the side of Amari's neck, causing her to gasp at the sudden adrenaline as a spiky sensation entered into her body. Todoroki covered his mouth in terror to stifle a shout when the villain threw her away from him, causing the girl to crumble to the ground. Gripping the floor with her nails, Amari suddenly felt her breathing shorten, gasping for breath as she shouted back, brokenly, What did you do to me? All For One looked back at his work fondly before speaking. What you were always meant to be. You see, the Nomus are a wonderful creation, but there were many flaws with them as well. Feeling a surge of pain course through her, Amari clutched her heart, feeling like it was going to tear itself right out of her chest. The sensation was just like before when she swallowed all of her pills, except this time it was amplified to 1,000. She stifled back a scream as he continued, strolling over to her carefully. One of the major flaws were that no matter how I tried, my power would always crush the Nomu's mind, causing them to become unintelligent drones, just following orders blindly and becoming easily disposed of, not much of an army. The girl felt herself bite her tongue, finding that strong metallic taste she had known all too well. Her mind was in chaos, unable to hold back her screams of agony any longer. It felt like she was going to die. Thinking about her brother, she reached out to him, begging him to make the pain stop. Brother, please, it hurts. Bakugo watched his sister call out to him, but felt his feet glued to the floor for some reason. This wasn't a nightmare, this was real life. Yet why did he still feel so damn useless? She was right there, right in front of him, calling for him, yet he couldn't move. Leaning down to the girl, All For One started to see black veins travel up her neck slowly and smiled, pleased with the progress. So I wondered if there was somehow a way to preserve the mind and still strengthen the body. That's when I got an idea. What if the conversation of a Nomu was far more subtle? What if, by ingesting the blood in small doses, they could transfer its power without losing their minds? He reached down to the girl's pocket, then pulling out her pills. That's when we got the idea, testing the results on many weak-minded children, although the only one that managed to survive the process was our little one here. Unfortunately, all the others died immediately. It really was such a shame. No one else had her strength and desire to succeed. Throwing the box of pills onto the ground, the object tumbled out, hitting the floor and causing the hidden students to gasp, Todoroki especially. He recalled what Amari had said throughout the last couple months regarding her pills, and everything painfully clicked together. Her pills had Nomu blood in them. That's why her body was rejecting them. What had this girl gotten herself into? Amari suddenly heard the voice again, the one calling her internally and suffocating her with his words. The plan slowly started to dissipate as her mind grew numb, fading away into nothing. It was blissful, giving into the idea of peace and comfort once again. Noticing her screaming had ceased, All For One smirked. Yet it seems even when she ingests too much blood, the girl turns loose her mind for a short time as well. It's a side effect, but it helps with her compliance. Stand up, little one. Then everyone gasped as the girl slowly stood up on his order before staring into space. Bakugo couldn't help but feel his heart drop in his chest at her appearance. His sister looked dead, like a walking corpse, with far-away eyes and thick black veins wrapped around her left side of her face and ending at her eye. What the hell happened to her? Katsuki's voice came out, small and scared. Amari? All Might watched his student in fear, speaking out towards her and not believing what he was seeing. Was all this going under his nose and he didn't even realize it? What terrible thing had this girl been through? Young Bakugo, are you all right? Although All For One could only laugh. Placing a hand on the girl's shoulder as she ignored their cries. All Might, I would like you to introduce you to my masterpiece, the Nomu of all Nomus, my secret weapon. Okay, check her out. She's a good writer, like her stuff. Starting to hurt to talk, so I'm gonna end this one here. You will hear me in the next video. Bye-bye.